infinity loop, wrap it around the back. Doesn't matter what exercise we do, just that little bit of resistance is going to put the mind inside the body. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a huge part of what we're doing here. Breathing into every motion, bringing the mental awareness into the physical body, deep, 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 deep into the physical body in a way that we don't with anything else that we're doing. So slow down the motions, breathe with every motion, let the body move as one unit, and let the magic happen. And of course, moving from the core, moving from the center. And in traditional martial arts, they have stuff like this too to help awaken the internal energy. They have a Tai Chi ruler, which is kind of like this, or a Tai Chi ball, Kung Fu. Do you guys know the history of Kung Fu? It's really interesting. 600 years before Christ, there was the pre-Christ Christ of sorts, the Buddha, the Bodhidharma, Siddhartha Gautama, this dude who was just like you and me, just struggling, hustling. Well, actually, he wasn't. He was a very fortunate dude because he came from a very wealthy family, but got released into the real world and found all elements of people's evil and misgivings, and just felt totally like he needed to separate. So that's what he did, and he spent 7 years meditating in a cave. And he went back to the Shaolin Temple, and he saw the monks, and they were all overweight and weak and eating a lot of grains as opposed to vegetables, which he saw as being much healthier. And he created, after 7 years of sitting, looking at a cave, looking at a wall, he was inspired and created Kung Fu. True story. And had all the monks doing Sipima, doing what Sifu Wong Jack Man had us do, this kind of deep horse stance. All of us, hundreds of us lined up, so had the monks doing this, taught them Shaolin Kung Fu, which came to him in a vision. So that is the true story. But even as we stand here, honoring that tradition, shadow boxing, we can use these ancient principles, breathing with emotion, using the body as one unit, all these things in whatever we're doing, whether it's stretching, whether it's hypertrophy, whether it's working on technique. We can really increase our athleticism and our skill by taking these ancient principles and applying them to modern physiology and physiognomy. So that's what we're doing today, just a little bit of light technical shadow boxing, keeping these principles awake of moving from the horse, moving from the legs. It's like Wong Jack Man used to say, it's as if horse stance, you have to have the feeling of the horse there that's moving ahead of all this, that this has to be present. The horse, which is, to knock over any human, that has to be moving there. This kind of, spatially, you have to create the rhythm, as it were, and, be in that space. There's a lot of like the advanced levels of Kung Fu deal with this Yi and Qi, and kind of like really refining that, the mind-body connection, to the point where there's a lot of development on the will and the awareness of the body, awareness of the space around the body, the activation of these, using the imagination to, it's kind of like they say in Muay Thai. One of the first things they told me is like, when you're in your stance, when you're punching, one of the crews taught me this, you try to feel like you're 800 feet tall, try to feel like you're, the presence and the strength is there. So that was the feeling with this horse stance, which is that, all the motion is coming from the legs, from the pushing down of the feet, from the butt being sunk down like much, much lower than your normal standing like interview posture. And the beautiful thing is it's not like the boxing position in which you totally like kill your posture and kind of like tuck in and drape over. Like Kung Fu is designed for multiple opponents all over the side, so you really can't just kind of like, you know, shelling up like this is so effective if you got one opponent in front of you, but if you're on a battlefield, you can't do this for 8 hours a day, you know, which is where this Sipim Ma, this ancient Shaolin Kung Fu posture comes from. These ancient battlefield motions, monks defending the temple and people defending their villages. So it's large motions. It's men on horseback with spears. That's what we were dealing with 2,600 years ago. It wasn't like 16-ounce gloves, or I've got the 7-ounce and there's no knees to the head. It was like, no, you carry a weapon and a rock and a knife to defend your village and your wife. So, you know, these things don't get taken from you. It was a much different level of thinking, but the energy behind it, ironically, all comes from this Bodhidharma, Siddhartha Gautama, the creator of Kung Fu, the Buddha himself, who achieved enlightenment at the same time contemporaneously while he was inventing Kung Fu, sitting meditating for 7 years, which I suggest we should all do. Sit and look at a wall and meditate a little bit. Can't be a bad idea if, you know, if the Buddha did it. So just some random ramblings there about Kung Fu, because how this aligns on the biggest kind of like esoteric yet practical metaphysical level is with the 4 tenets, the four key principles and rules of Kung Fu. The first one being, of course, avoid conflict. So the rule there is just like, it's one that could guide one in life, you know, to be above criticism, to be above negative energy, and to avoid those things, as opposed to battling those lesser energies. Just